There is something sitting in your spice cabinet right now. Something that has been there for months, maybe years, that most adults over 60 walk past every single day without a second thought. And I want you to think about something before we go any further. When was the last time your energy held steady, all the way through the afternoon, without that familiar crash around 2 or 3 o'clock? When did you last climb a full flight of stairs and arrive at the top without pausing, without your legs feeling heavier than they should? When did you last finish grocery shopping and still feel like yourself, instead of needing to sit down the moment you got home? If any of that sounds familiar, I want you to stay with me, because I have spent the last 15 days going deep into the peer-reviewed literature on one of the most underestimated spices in your kitchen, and what I found about what it does inside the body, specifically after 60, is not what most people expect. 2 whole cloves every day, for 21 days, in a very specific way. Not clove oil, not capsules, not a supplement with a label you cannot pronounce. 2 humble whole cloves, the kind that cost under $3 a month at any grocery store in America. And by the end of this video, you will understand exactly why the form matters more than the spice itself, what is actually happening inside your cells, from day one, and the one mistake most seniors make with cloves, that quietly works against everything they are trying to achieve. Here is what the supplement industry does not want you to figure out on your own. The moment something natural gets a reputation for being powerful, someone puts it in a dropper bottle, concentrates it, marks it up to $30 or $40, and sells it as the stronger and better version. Clove oil, eugenol extract, high-dose capsules. And seniors, who are doing everything right, who are reading labels and choosing natural over synthetic, are buying those products, believing that more concentrated means more beneficial. The NIH's own liver tox database, which tracks drug and herb-induced liver injury, documents case reports of near-fatal outcomes from clove oil ingestion. Not cloves, the oil, acute liver toxicity, CNS depression, metabolic acidosis, severe enough to require intensive care. The mechanism is not complicated. Once you understand it, concentrated eugenol, the primary active compound in cloves, overwhelms the liver's phase 1 detoxification system. When taken in oil form, what the liver can process gracefully from 2 whole culinary cloves, it cannot manage when hit with the equivalent of hundreds of cloves in a single dropper. And here is the part that makes this specifically dangerous for adults over 60. After 65, hepatic blood flow naturally decreases, the liver's regenerative capacity slows, drug clearance takes longer, which means the same dose of concentrated eugenol that might pass through a younger liver without incident can accumulate, cause stress, and in vulnerable seniors, seriously damage the one organ responsible for filtering everything else. The 15-minute appointment with your doctor does not cover this. The pharmacist does not ask, what is in your spice cabinet? And the supplement industry never wants you to know this. But 2 whole cloves, the form your grandmother kept in a jar, that is an entirely different story, and that story begins at the cellular level. Now, I want to flag something before we go into the biology. There are 5 steps in the protocol I am going to give you today, and step 4 involves a specific pairing that most people never learn about, a combination that a 2022 randomized clinical trial found increased the body's most critical internal defense molecule by 6 times, not 6%, 6 times in just 84 days. I will get to exactly what that molecule is, what it does inside your joints, your arteries, and your brain, and how to activate it with what is already in your kitchen. But first, drop your age and the city you are watching from in the comments right now. We read every single one. You are part of a community that refuses to let the system make these decisions for them. So let me show you what actually happens, starting from the moment you chew a whole clove. The first thing to understand is that a whole clove is not just a spice. It is what researchers now call a polyphenol powerhouse, a dense concentration of bioactive compounds, eugenol, gallic acid, quercetin-like flavonoids that begin acting on your biology within hours of being absorbed. And the most important thing they activate is something called the NRF2 keep 1 pathway. Think of NRF2 as the master switch inside every one of your cells, the switch that controls your body's own internal antioxidant production system. When it is flipped on, your cells begin producing their own defensive compounds: glutathione, superoxide dismutase, catalase. When it stays off, oxidative stress accumulates quietly, damaging cellular membranes, proteins, and DNA in a process you cannot feel, but absolutely can measure. And here is where the number that changes everything comes in. The Journal of Functional Foods published a randomized, double-blind clinical trial in 2022 involving 70 adults with metabolic syndrome, 84 days, a standardized clove bud polyphenol extract. What they found was that plasma glutathione, the body's master internal defense molecule, increased six-fold compared to synthetic glutathione supplementation, not a modest improvement, 6 times. Fasting blood sugar dropped significantly. Post-meal glucose stabilized. HbA1c, the 3-month blood sugar average, improved. Total cholesterol, triglycerides, and LDL all decreased. HDL, the protective kind, increased. Now, why does this matter, specifically after 60? Because after 60, something called the inflammaging engine begins running at higher and higher output. Inflammaging means chronic low-grade systemic inflammation, is now understood by researchers at the National Institutes of Health to be the common biological root beneath joint deterioration, arterial stiffening, muscle loss, and cognitive decline. It is not dramatic. It does not produce a fever. It produces the slow, creeping functional losses that most seniors are told to accept as normal aging. Cloves eugenol directly inhibits 2 of the primary drivers of that engine, COX-2 and NF-kappa B, the enzymes and signaling pathways that produce inflammatory cytokines like TNF-alpha, IL-1-beta, and IL-6. Think of COX-2 as a furnace dial and eugenol as a hand that turns it down, not off, because you need some inflammation to fight infection, but down to a level where it stops quietly destroying tissue. It was never meant to touch. And there is one more axis worth understanding. Cloves polyphenols cross what researchers call the blood-brain barrier, essentially the security checkpoint between your bloodstream and your central nervous system. Once across, they act as what I call the brain shield, scavenging free radicals that would otherwise damage neuronal membranes and activate the microglial inflammatory response that underlies brain fog, memory lapses, and in the longer term, neurodegenerative change. A 2024 review published in PMC documented the neuroprotective mechanisms of eugenol specifically, including its effects on calcium channel regulation and attenuation of neuroinflammatory cascades. The biology here is layered and remarkable, but the solution, as you are about to see, is almost embarrassingly simple. Evelyn is 72 years old, retired home cook, grandmother of 4, the kind of woman who has always believed that real food is real medicine, and who spent 2 years trying clove oil because a wellness blog told her it was the concentrated, more powerful version. She told me she noticed nothing helpful and eventually developed persistent upper abdominal discomfort that her doctor attributed to gastric irritation. Her daughter, a registered nutritionist, sat down with her one evening and walked her through the difference between clove oil and whole culinary cloves at the biochemical level. Evelyn laughed at first, she said. It sounded too simple, 2 cloves with breakfast every day. She was skeptical, the way anyone who has already tried something and been disappointed has every right to be. But she committed to 21 days. By day 7, the afternoon energy crash that had defined her days for 2 years had noticeably softened. By day 14, she was completing her grocery run and still feeling present. When she got home, not depleted, by day 21, she climbed the full flight of stairs to her bedroom without pausing at the landing. At her next routine checkup, her physician reviewed her metabolic panel and called the improvement in her fasting glucose and inflammatory markers, and I am using her exact words here, better than expected. Evelyn's daughter put it simply. The biochemistry is complicated, she said. The protocol does not have to be. And that protocol has a name. This is called the Clove Activation Protocol. 5 steps, everything from your kitchen, total cost under $3 a month. Step 1, the right form. Whole dried culinary cloves only, Syzygium aromaticum, the kind in the spice aisle of any grocery store, not clove oil, not capsules, not liquid extract, the whole dried bud. This distinction is not about preference. It is about dosage physics. A whole clove delivers a safe, gradual release of eugenol as your digestive system processes it. The oil delivers a concentrated eugenol hit that bypasses that gradual absorption entirely, and in seniors with reduced hepatic clearance, that difference can be the difference between benefit and harm. If you have clove oil at home, right now, set it aside. For this protocol, it is not the right tool. Step 2, the dose. Exactly 2 whole cloves per day, chewed and swallowed, with a meal. That contains some fat, not 3, not 5, 2. Fat matters here, because eugenol and the broader polyphenol complex in cloves are fat-soluble compounds, meaning they require dietary fat, present in the gut, to be properly absorbed and transported. A meal with olive oil, eggs, avocado, or even full-fat yogurt creates the absorption environment these compounds need. 2 cloves daily puts you well within culinary intake ranges while still delivering meaningful polyphenol exposure to your NRF2 pathway at roughly 60 cloves per ounce and under $3 per ounce at most U.S. grocery stores. This costs approximately $3 per month. Step 3, the timing window. Morning or lunchtime, not dinner. Cloves stimulate gastric motility and can, in some seniors, provoke mild acid reflux if consumed close to lying down. Taking them with your morning meal or midday meal eliminates that risk entirely and positions the polyphenol absorption window during your most metabolically active hours. Step 4, the synergy lock. This is the step that most people miss and the one that dramatically amplifies everything else. Add 1/4 teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper to the same meal where you take your cloves, not separately, same meal. Black pepper's primary active compound, piperine, inhibits the gut and liver enzymes that would otherwise break down polyphenols before they reach systemic circulation. You may remember this principle from turmeric research, where black pepper increases curcumin absorption by 2,000%. The same mechanism applies here. Piperine acts as a bioavailability gatekeeper, keeping cloves' polyphenol complex in circulation long enough to reach the tissues where it is needed most. This is the pairing behind that 6-fold glutathione increase. In the Journal of Functional Foods trial, not cloves alone, the right combination at the right time. Step 5, the 21-day tracking markers. Do not start this protocol without deciding in advance what you are watching for. This is your 21-day biological experiment, and these are the 3 checkpoints. Day 7, notice your afternoon energy. Does the familiar crash feel slightly less steep? This is often the first signal that COX-2 inhibition and improved glucose metabolism are beginning to register at the functional level. Day 14, pay attention to your joints. First thing in the morning stiffness, that creaky, reluctant quality in your knees and hips when you first stand, is one of the most consistent early indicators of reduced inflammatory load. Day 21, notice something physical that has been difficult, a flight of stairs, a shopping trip, a walk around the block. Compare honestly to how it felt 3 weeks ago. You are not looking for a dramatic transformation. You are looking for a direction, and direction at this age is everything. Who should avoid or modify this protocol? Before you begin, if any of the following apply to you, please speak with your physician or pharmacist first. If you are on warfarin, apixaban, rivaroxaban, clopidogrel, aspirin therapy, or any other blood thinner or antiplatelet medication, cloves' natural platelet-inhibiting properties can add to the effect of those drugs and increase bleeding risk. This is not theoretical. Herb-drug interaction reviews documented explicitly. If you manage type 2 diabetes with insulin, sulfonylureas like glipizide or glyburide, or GLP-1 medications, cloves' suppression of hepatic gluconeogenesis can amplify glucose-lowering effects and push blood sugar lower than intended. If you have chronic kidney disease at stage 3 or above, reduced clearance of eugenol metabolites requires individual assessment before starting. If you have liver disease, elevated transaminases, or a history of drug-induced liver injury, the hepatic metabolism of eugenol requires caution, even at culinary doses. If you have had surgery in the past 2 weeks or have surgery planned within the next 2 weeks, stop or do not start due to perioperative bleeding risk from antiplatelet effects. If you are currently on chemotherapy or immunosuppressive therapy, consult your oncologist before adding any botanical. So here is what I want you to do tonight. Go to your spice cabinet, right now or in the next few minutes, and check what you have: whole cloves or clove oil. If you have whole cloves, you are already ready. Put the jar somewhere visible next to the coffee maker on the counter where you will see it tomorrow morning. If you have clove oil, set it aside. Add whole cloves to your next grocery list under $3, one bag, that is all. Tomorrow morning, with your breakfast, 2 cloves chewed with your food, 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper on the same plate. That is day 1 of your 21-day experiment. And write down how your afternoon feels tomorrow. Just a note, 1 line, because in 21 days you are going to want to compare. Now, before you go, I want to be direct about something important. If at any point during this protocol you notice any of the following, stop immediately and seek in-person medical care. Do not adjust the dose. Do not wait. Black or tarry stools or vomiting blood. These signal gastrointestinal bleeding and require emergency evaluation, especially if you are on any blood thinner. Unusual bruising, bleeding gums, or nosebleeds that will not stop. This may indicate your anticoagulation levels have been affected. Pain in your upper right abdomen, combined with yellowing of your skin or eyes or unusually dark urine. These are signs of liver stress that require immediate attention. Sudden confusion, drowsiness, or difficulty staying awake, particularly if you have been using clove oil rather than whole cloves. This can indicate CNS toxicity. Severe or rapidly worsening abdominal pain with vomiting. Do not manage this at home. New chest pain, shortness of breath, or heart palpitations. These require urgent cardiac evaluation, regardless of what you have or have not taken. Everything in this video is drawn from peer-reviewed research, published in the Journal of Functional Foods, Biomolecules, the Journal of Ethnopharmacology, and the NIH's LiverTox database. All source links are in the description. This is educational information. It is not personal medical advice, and your specific health situation deserves a real conversation with your physician, especially if you are managing multiple conditions or medications. If this video gave you something useful today, share it with someone you know who has been reaching for the clove oil bottle, believing it is the better version, not for this channel, for them, because what they do not know about the form they are using may be costing them more than they realize. 2 cloves, $3 a month, 21 days. That is not a spice. That is a 21-day experiment in your own biology. We will see you in the next one.